incredible ranged subclass within the Arcane Vanguard modded class. So we're going to check it out. We're going to go level by level, all the items you'll need, and a combat tutorial. So let's jump straight in. Now with the Arcane Vanguard, we unlock a bunch of fun stuff. We get simple weapons, martial weapons, spikes, spears, halberds, glaives, light armor, and shields as proficiencies. Now for our cantrips, we're going to take what I like to call the Holy Trinity. We got Shocking Grasp, Firebolt, and Rare Frost. 3 different damage types, 2 ranged, 1 melee. Perfect for this build. When it comes to your main spells, we're going to take Thunderwave. I love Thunderwave, really good at just pushing enemies off of balconies, beams, buildings, all sorts. Obviously, if they take a big enough fall, instant game winner. Just overall, a great spell. We're going to take Inflict Wounds. I love this spell. Really good damage for a first level spell, but you can upscale it and pump out insane damage with this. And we have the Armour of Agathis, really nice way of gaining temporary hit points and dealing cold damage to anyone that hits you with a melee attack. Ties really nicely into this theme, as this is very much a cold based archer. For your fighting style, we are going to take Echo and Malice. So when you damage a creature with a ranged weapon attack, mark the creature. The next time you deal damage with a spell or cantrip, deal 2 to 8 force damage to all enemies near your target. And that brings us to the Icequiver. You infuse the power of Frost into your bow, expanding spells through a marksman's skill. So this will give you Frostwalker. Frostwalker basically means when you deal cold damage, you give yourself Frostwalk, which means you're not able to slip on ice as you're walking around. Ray of Frost Arrow Infusion. This is a cantrip, and basically you turn your Ray of Frost cantrip into an arrow attack. It's phenomenal. It also lowers the target's movement speed by 3 meters. We gain Ice Knife as a spell, and Create or Destroy Water, tying very nicely in with all the lightning spells you can do in the game. Now when it comes to your ability points, we're going to have 8 Strength, we're going to have 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 16 Intelligence, and this is what we're going to be focusing on. Not only is this your spell casting modifier, this will also be used for your ranged weapon attacks at the next level. 10 Wisdom and 10 Charisma. And then for your proficiencies, we're going to take whatever you feel like. And that brings us to level 2 with Vanguard Stratagem. You use your intelligence modifier for your weapon attacks and damage rolls. We gain 1 more spell, so for this one we are going to take your Witch Bolt. Again, we've got Create Destroy Water. We can now make the enemies wet and then hit them with lightning, maximising our damage. And we gain a Vanguard talent. For this one, we're going to take the Arcanist Life Teether. Mark a target, your allies, 1 to 6 hit points if they start their turn within 3 meters. This is great if you have like a boss and you're all focused on it. This is great if you have a bunch of enemies swarming you. Really nice way of just boosting your allies' health pools. Arcane Vanguard level 3 gives you Constructed Argument, so you can add your persuasion checks equal to your intelligence modifier. Great way of just adding a +5 by the end of this to your persuasion. We gain Frozen Sentry, so while standing on an ice surface, we have resistance to fire and cold damage and immunity to burning. When you end your turn on an ice surface, gain temporary hit points equal to your intelligence modifier until the start of your next turn. Nice way of just boosting your hit pool. We gain Gust of Wind as a spell, again much like Thunderwave, except it doesn't do damage, really good stuff. And Misty Step, which is phenomenal, nice way of just getting around the battlefield. Now we get a spell at this point, so we're going to take Mirror Image. Nice way of adding a +9 to your armor class, especially since our AC isn't going to be the best. This will essentially give you 3 duplicates, each will add a +3 to your armor class. When you successfully invade an attack, one of the duplicates will disappear, or remove +3 from your AC, until you get back to your base standard one and all your duplicates are gone. Arcane Vanguard level 4 gives you your next feat. Before that we get 1 more spell, so we can take Light as a cantrip. And we're going to take Enhanced Ability as our spell for this level. Now when it comes to your feat, you probably guessed it, but ability improvement, and we bump our intelligence up to 18. Arcane Vanguard level 5 brings you War Magic. You've honed your body in magic for war. After you cast a cantrip, you can make a weapon attack using a bonus action, and this ties in very nicely with our spells. So we can do our Frost Arrow as a cantrip, and then follow up with a regular arrow. It's crazy. We also gain Sleet Storm, nice concentration based spell, and Grant Flight. This, in my opinion, is less good than Misty Step, but it only uses 1 spell slot, but it is concentration, so it's hit and miss on both of them. Now for a spell at this point, we're going to take Haste to try and boost up our attacks. Arcane Vanguard level 6 brings you more spells. So for this one, we are going to take Branding Smite. And then for a Vanguard talent, we're going to follow up with Follow Up. You gain +3 bonus to attack rolls when attacking after casting a spell or cantrip. Again, works with our ice arrow thing. So you can do that, and then your next weapon attack, which will be your bow, will gain a +3 bonus to attack. Arcane Vanguard level 7 brings you Vanguard Technique. After the Vanguard casts a spell or cantrip, they can make a weapon attack using a bonus action. We gain Fire Shield Chill, kind of like Armor of Agathis, but in my opinion a little bit better. And Ice Storm. Now for a spell at this point, we are going to take Freedom of Movement. This will allow any ally to snap out of stun. Difficult terrain can't slow them down, they can't be paralysed or restrained, and if they are restrained, they can use their own movement to get out. Level 8 gives you your next feat and more spellcasting capabilities. Now for this one, we are probably going to take something like Fog Cloud. You could even take Shadow Blade if you wanted to, if you want a melee weapon. The most important part is the ability score and intelligence up to 20. Vanguard level 9 gives you the Oncoming Storm. So when you deal cold damage with a spell, you also create an explosion around you, freezing the ground near you and potentially dealing 1 to 12 cold damage to nearby enemies. We gain Cone of Cold and Mass Cure Wounds to really help to our just healing capabilities on the battlefield. For a spell, we're going to come in here with Wall of Stone, just a nice way to cut off the battlefield if you need to. Level 10 brings you more spell slots and a new passive. So we're going to take Minor Illusion as a cantrip for this level. And then for a spell here, we're going to take Greater Invisibility. And for a Vanguard talent, I really like Vanguard Recovery. Allows you to restore 2 first level spell slots once per short rest. Level 11 will bring you Tactical Strikes. So once per turn, when you deal an attack with a weapon, you deal 1d4 extra damage. We gain Wall of Ice, and we gain Opulence Freezing Sphere. Create a ball of churning ice that can be launched instantly to generate a frosty explosion or stored for later, with pretty decent damage. Now for a spell, we're going to take the Globe of Invulnerability, because as a ranged spellcaster, we can stand inside it and just rain down death. And then level 12 gives you our final feat. Before that, we have one more spell to choose, and I'm going to take a Blade Barrier. And then for your ability score improvement, 2 options. You can either take Sharpshooter, which will basically give you a -5 to your aim for a solid 10 damage, or you can take Alert to gain the +5 bonus to initiative. I'm going to go with this just so we can boost our AC higher. Or not our AC, sorry, our initiative higher. Okay, so let's go over our gear. Now, I really like the Brow Beaten Circlet, gain +1 bonus to spell save DC while threatened. For the Cloak of Displacement. At the beginning of the wearer's turn, the cloak activates, granting enemies disadvantage on attack rolls against that wearer. For boots, the boots are genial striding, so their movement speed is unimpeded by difficult terrain. Now we can only use light armour, so I really like using the Elegant Studded Leather. This will give you a +2 bonus to your initiative, advantage on stealth checks, and shield as an abjuration spell, meaning as a reaction, we can throw a shield up to avoid taking damage. We're going to boost our attacks using the Helldusk Gloves, +1 bonus to spell attack rolls and spell save DC, but more importantly, 1 to 6 fire damage on our weapon attacks. For rings, the Snowburst Ring, so when the wearer deals cold damage, we create a 4.5 circle of ice around the target. The Shifting Corpus Ring to give us invisibility and blur. The Necklace of Elemental Augmentation, so when one of your cantrips deals acid, cold, fire, lightning or thunder damage, add your spellcasting modifier to the damage dealt. And then for a bow, I really like using the Deadshot. Improved critical, so we need a 19 instead of a 20 to land a critical hit. And we get Keen Attack, where we can double our proficiency bonus when rolling ranged attacks with this weapon. So that is the build. Let's go find some combat and show it off. Okay, so we just left camp. First thing we're going to do is we're going to come in here, Armor of Agathis, and we'll just throw up at like 3rd level. 15 temporary hit points and 15 cold damage for anyone that hits us with a melee attack. Okay, combat has just started, and as you can see, we are top of the turn order, and we have our Cloak of Displacement. So let's come in here, and we're going to show off some stuff. First thing we are going to do is we're going to find our cold-based spell. Rare Frost Arrow Infusion. So again, this is a cantrip. We can target an enemy like this. There might be some friendly fire here, just beware. And as you can see, there is ice everywhere. Thanks to our ability, we did also cause 10 damage to the enemies here. But what it means is that we get to follow up with another attack as our bonus action. And there you go. You can see, unfortunately it did do fire damage, so it melted the water. But what is really good is it means if we were, for example, to run out in here, when I can get the camera to work, there we go. We could then follow up with some lightning damage to maximize it. So for example, if we use lightning bolt, there you go, and you see we have electrified water all across here. Okay, and you can see the barbarian is coming towards us, and they've been electrocuted because they are stood within that. You can also see they took 15 cold damage thanks to the armor of Agathis. Just a nice way of just dealing damage to them when it's not even our turn. Now again, we have other spells we can do here. So, if we were to come in here with a Opulence Freezing Sphere, we'll do it at the highest level possible. And as you can see, we can throw it pretty far. So if we were to throw it, let's say here, try and target both enemies. And there you go, you can see we've made the entire platform ice as well. And this means, once again, we can follow up with a ranged attack. Now unfortunately the fire is going to melt the ice, just bear that in mind. If you don't want to use the gloves you don't have to, but it is just such an easy way of causing damage to enemies, and pretty decent damage at that. And there you go, electrocuted takes 2 damage as well. Big miss there, and only 11 damage is pretty decent. But this is the gist of this build. It's predominantly using your frost arrow to cause damage to enemies, such as here, and then benefiting from your other abilities and your follow-up attacks to finish off fights, like this. Just an incredible way of just picking enemies apart, and thanks to our displacement and other rings and stuff, you can see we just have so many options for killing enemies ASAP. But bear in mind, even though you can see we just healed because we're stood within water, so you can also tank yourself up, which is great with this build. If you do an attack on your first round, just a standard one, like that, you will see the only thing you can do afterwards is a bonus action like Misty Step. So you can't do attack and then spell, you have to do spell first and then attack. Now, as a ranged character, we also can benefit from a lot of other stuff. So if we were to come up here, and we'll stop here, again we have things like Thunder Wave. Now if we were to do this at like 5th level, you can see it will throw enemies pretty far. So let's see if we can land it. Unfortunately we didn't land it on that one, but what it does mean, again, we can follow up with a weapon attack just like that. But again, you can see we took damage last turn, so let's heal ourselves up on ensuing turns. We'll start with our Ray of Frost arrow, or not because we missed sadly. You can see our cloak of displacement coming in there. Okay, we can also benefit from using special arrows. For example, if we were to use the arrow of many targets, you'll see we can target 2 or more in one hit. Now unfortunately that would use your whole turn, but you do have those options, so just bear that in mind. And then it's just a case of finishing off the fight. We'll make sure we get 2 attacks, so we'll do our frost arrow first, and never mind, we didn't even need the follow-up attack. But that is the gist of it. And then what we can do is, because we have a bow, if we need to, where is it? Our range attack will melt the ice. And then if we can stand in it, eventually, because of our abilities, this would heal you up in combat as you saw. So a nice way of you can put yourself on ice, you can then melt the ice with your gloves and heal up, while in combat, while still just raining down arrows. It's an incredible build. So I really hope you have enjoyed the Icequiver Arcane Vanguard. It is just so much fun. So please go and check it out. If you have, please drop the episode a like, helps me tremendously. If you're new and not subscribed, you'd like to, that would also be amazing. I've got other builds for Baldur's Gate 3, for Path of Exile, all that fun stuff. And let me know in the comments what you would change about this build, other items, spells, all that fun stuff. Regardless, I really do hope you have enjoyed. And if you have, hopefully, I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.